going to talk about remote sensing when it comes to COVID patients, maybe from home even, with the CEO of Masimo. That's coming up on Balance of Power on Bloomberg Television and on radio. This is Balance of Power on Bloomberg Television and radio. I'm David Westin. One of the things that we need to do is give it as much space as possible in the hospitals, maybe have COVID-19 patients when they're well enough to be monitored from home. Well, Masimo is a med tech company that's come up with a possible solution to that problem, and we welcome now the CEO of Masimo. He is Joe Kiani. So thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Kiani. Explain to me what your device is and how it works.
Our device is pulse oximetry technology that works even when there's patient movement and low perfusion. And we have made it into a wearable device that attaches to the wrist like a watch, and the sensor goes to the digit, and it can accurately measure continuously for 4 days at a time the oxygen saturation, pulse rate, respiration rate, perfusion, and PVI. And that information through Bluetooth is sent to your smartphone or smart tablet, and then from the smartphone or smart tablet through the cloud, it can be sent over to a central monitor, maybe at a hospital or even a service that we provide, to continuously monitor the patients, both for COVID-19 and other issues that relate to respiratory problems.
And give us a sense of how much it's deployed right now. How much is that device being used for COVID-19 patients, either in the hospital or at home?
Well, Masimo's been around for 31 years. I founded the company, and we are the leading pulse oximetry company in the world. Over 200 million patients are monitored with our technology every year. 9 out of the 10 top hospitals in U.S. News primarily use our technology. And we have seen an amazing surge of demand for our products in the traditional settings in hospitals. And then also they're using this device in a couple of different ways. In hospitals to shield the patient from the care providers as much as possible. As you know, every time a care provider has to go to the room to watch the patient or watch the monitor, they require PPE, and they're also putting themselves at risk. So some hospitals are using this tetherless wireless pulse oximetry technology to put the patient in the room and have the monitoring done outside the room. In addition, we've started a pilot program at University Hospital with Dr. Peter Pronovost and his colleagues, and at St. Luke's with Dr. Carmona. And what they're doing, they're sending patients that meet certain criteria for COVID-19 and other respiratory conditions to home and monitoring them remotely. And if they get to a situation, let's say their oxygen is 93% or lower for more than 5 minutes, these patients then are brought in. And right now we're wrapping up that pilot. Hopefully with the successful completion of that pilot, which 2 other hospitals are now taking part in, we're going to do a full market release of this product we call Masimo SafetyNet, hopefully this weekend.
So give us a sense about your basic product. It sounds like it should be a lot of demand. Are you having any trouble keeping up with that demand? I mean, what are sales like right now?
Well, we actually had pre-announced our numbers because it was so much more than we had projected, and we just did that April 1st because we knew our suppliers knew what's happening, some of our people in manufacturing, our customers knew what's happening, and we're afraid the general public didn't know, so we did do that, and the demand has been tremendous, and it has not stopped. And we're holding up. We're keeping up with it. Fortunately, we began worrying about this COVID-19 potentially becoming a problem for us to manufacture. So we began modularizing our manufacturing, setting up other sites. We now have 3 sites that are manufacturing our sensors. We have multiple sites manufacturing our instruments. And so far, thank God, we don't have any problems in any of our factories. so we are able to keep up. And we're also building up inventory so that if we do have any hiccups, we can go through the inventory while we try to bring up another manufacturing site up.
So, Joe, finally, give us a benefit of your expertise in the medical technology area. Go beyond a little bit your device at the moment. Obviously, we need more testing. We need a variety of various kinds of testing if we're going to bring the country and the economy back. What advice do you have to people in authority about how we can really ramp up effective testing so that we can start to get back to something that looks a little bit more normal?
Well, I think you said it. I think, first of all, there's only two ways out of this. Either a vaccine or we test 100% of our population, and those who have COVID-19, we separate them from the rest of the population until they are better so that we can be done with this once and for all. And I think to ramp up testing, I think the government needs to do what they've done with the ventilators to get other parties to help those that are creating those tests to increase the volume, because you've got to basically test about 400 million people within 24 hours, and you've got to then isolate them, because when you test someone and you send them back to the environment, they may come across someone who has got COVID-19, and now they'll get it, so your test of negative COVID-19 becomes useless. So you really have to just massively do it or inoculate patients with vaccines. Otherwise, this is going to keep going on.
Joe, it's far too early to really decide or discern how this is going to change our lives for good. But in the medtech area, is this going to fundamentally transform medical technology and that business?
I believe so, in a few ways. I believe the COVID-19 has probably accelerated remote monitoring and telehealth by decades, because now even elderly people, 65, 70, 80-year-olds have to learn how to use their phones to be in contact with their caregivers. And we are seeing cities deploy this Masimo SafetyNet, like Boston, to monitor elderly people just in case they get in trouble so they can get to them rapidly. And I think the other is telehealth's all been about cardiac. Well, telehealth is now turned into all about respiratory. The coronavirus has made it into a respiratory issue, and I think that focus will remain and will help our people take better care of themselves if they have COPD, asthma, and other issues.
Joe, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to jump in there. We've just run out of time. That's Joe Kiani. He is the CEO of Masimo.